阿弥陀佛，大家好。So good evening or good morning, depends on where you are. 那今天施法是因为在外地，所以他没有办法上网讲十非藏品。我们就会再重听他昨天讲的虚云老和尚画传的一个段故事。Venerable Heng Sure is traveling right now, and he was unable to go online to give lecture on the 10th Transparent Chapter. So we'll watch the replay of his lecture on Venerable Master Hsu Yun's story. And so we'll start from there. 今天要是要听到的是虚云老和尚他燃指供佛的故事。Today the major episode is talking about the Venerable Hsu Yun burning his finger to make offering to the Buddha. 我们先跟观音菩萨三问讯，所以我们three head bows to 观音菩萨三宝菩萨。Recite question 10 times. 南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨，南无观世菩萨。
Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法让万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益宝他脑后的。Okay, there we go. Alrighty, that's our protocol for getting our lecture underway. I found this. This is a default Apple desktop, but what was interesting to me was that this little ribbon of highway, what you're looking at is Big Sur, the Big Sur Mountains. That's to say Los Padres National Forest, Central California. This little ribbon of highway is Highway 1. That's the Pacific Coast Highway, California Highway 1. And you can see it just one.
这边看到的这个照片呢，这个是 Google 的照片。你看到这个地方叫做 Big Sur， 在加州的中部的地方，这边就是太平洋。你看到这条弯弯曲曲的道路啊，这个是加州的1号公路。
lines across this bridge right here, and it keeps on. There, it's just a 2-lane blacktop because there's not much traffic. This Big Sur is 60 miles of mountains and ocean. It's Pacific Ocean. There are Pacific sea lions and whales.
这个加州，这边洛杉矶应该是在这边上面这边，因为这边是西边嘛。这边过了桥继续往上来，这段路差不多有60英里，是将近100公里那么长。这公路其实是很窄的，只有两线，去一线来一线。一般车子是不多，1个小时也许就这么一班，有个车子开过去。这个在太平洋这边，你看到有一些海狮啊、海狗啊之类的，动物在这儿。
And dolphins, porpoises that go along here, and about 1 car per hour. It's frequently blocked by landslides. And if you look carefully, there are 2 Buddhist monks bowing along. No, I'm kidding. Back in 1977 to 79, that was the case. This is 1978, we were here. And
这条路很崎岖。你仔细看的话，这边你可以看到两个和尚在这边拜。这实法师是开玩笑的，就是确实他们在这边拜过。在1978年、79年的时候，他和恩潮去马蹄后本就在这边拜过这条路，这个大概有什么60英里长的路。
And the road continues all along here. Los Angeles is lost here in the mist. That's where we started. Bowed along. All the way to Monterey and Carmel, where Big Sur ends, and etc. So this is another pilgrimage route, sort of reminiscent and inspired by Master Empty Cloud, in fact. All right.
我们会这样子拜，其实也是虚云老和尚的故事，激励我们也就3步一拜。
That's the desktop. Here's our story, and we're only going to do one today because there's a lot of lessons involved here.
这是今天要讨论的这个故事。今天只谈这个故事，一般是会2-3个故事来讨论，是因为这个故事有很多需要讲的部分，所以今天就只讨论这一段故事。
It's 1897, 3 more years of the 19th century. He's 58 years old. He's already been through an enlightenment experience, and it said.
这个是在虚云老和尚58岁的时候，1897年，这3年就是到的第20世纪，那时候是58岁。他之前已经开悟了，还记得的话，他是56岁的时候才高明寺开悟。
福己燃指供佛 despite his illness, burning a finger as an offering to the Buddha. Okay?
这个题目是福己，福己燃指供佛。福己的意思就是说他抱病去来烧他的手指头来供佛。
It says, 福己燃指供佛 despite his illness, burning a finger as an offering to the Buddha. Okay, are we ready? Here we go. 有拜舍利皆参加，正说非一，公出见如履豆紫黑色，至10月半，2藏拜完，再看大如前， 遍吃诸有光，在即拜，看舍利大如黄豆，黄白各半，如心因根茎失显。11月初，大病不能坐。16日，有八人阅燃指，公爵参加燃指兵役狱。
这个中文大概修一下。So I explain the Chinese briefly. So the Venerable Heng Sure will translate this in English later. 有拜舍利皆参加，就是在这个是阿育王师，常常会有人去拜舍利。那有人拜舍利的时候，虚云老和尚他就也会参加。众说非议，是每个人的说法都不一样。光这个指的就是虚云老和尚。刚开始看到的这个舍利呢，这个是佛陀的舍利，像绿豆那么一个大小，紫黑色的。到了10月半的时候，2藏拜完，他在拜大藏经，拜了2藏、3藏，拜了2藏，拜完以后再看呢，这个舍利就是大小和从前一样，就像绿豆一样大小，但是变了颜色，就是赤珠有光，就是红色的，这个珠变成红色，会发光，原来是紫黑色的。然后再急拜，就拜得更急，急着要看什么？看到舍利呢，大如黄豆，这个急着去拜以后，舍利就变大了，像黄豆一样大小，颜色就变成黄色和白色各半参半。那这时候他才相信，这个根因为会根境视线，而我们的感官境界会去这个舍利会呈现不同的大小颜色。11月初大病不能做，他到了11月初以后生了一场大病，不能够坐的，只好躺着。那当然他就没有办法去拜了。16日，就11月的16日，有8人约燃指，就是有8个人，他们相约要去燃指，他们也来邀了虚云老和尚，虚云老和尚决定参加燃指。燃完指以后，他这个病就好了，本来是重病的，只是因为燃指以后，这个病就好了。
遍吃诸有光，在即拜，看舍利大如黄豆，黄白各半，如心因根茎失显。11月初，大病不能坐。16日，有8人阅燃指，公爵参加燃指兵役狱。All right. I'll just read the English first, then we'll comment. Here we go. The master joined in whenever people bowed to the Buddha's sharira. Every person viewing the relic told a different story. When the master first observed it, it was the size of a mung-bean and deep purple in color. By the middle of the 10th month, however, having completed bowing to 2 canons, he viewed the relic again. This time it was about the same size, but it appeared as a glowing red pearl. The master increased the pace of his bowing. The sharira was now a mixture of yellow and white and the size of a soybean. He then understood how the sharira appeared differently to each person according to his or her karmic conditions. By the beginning of the 11th lunar month, the master had become so ill he couldn't even sit up. A group of 8 people made a pact to burn their fingers together as an offering to the Buddha on the 16th day of the month. The master was determined to take part and consequently recovered from his illness. Okay, now lots of themes here, and the story is, there's so much going on that Master Hua could only, if he was determined to put it into a single episode, he had to condense it. into just a sentence for a lot going on. So
这里其实发生了很多事情，但是上人因为把这个整个故事都做成一个小节的，所以很多地方它都很简略，也许就是一句话就带过去，所以光看这部分的文字呢，不容易了解。
in a circumstance like this, we refer to the Nianpu, the autobiography, where it's not condensed. We'll be there in just a second. Here is the image. There's a lot of monks kneeling, and hard to tell quite what's going on. Somebody's reciting a sutra.
这个这就是画像出来，这个看到很多的出家人跪在那里，有一位是应该是在念这个长美文之类的。
Here, okay, others are observing from a seat. Okay, let's look at the verse. 显亲宗亮大慈人，助人染指发道心，夙愿课岁真快乐，本怀以畅喜雍容。
这是上人写的寄颂，他在每一个故事后头都会写4句偈。这个显亲宗亮其实是2位出家人的名字，所以你光看这个看不懂到底是什么。等一下会解释到，显亲和宗亮是2位，一位是应该是扳手，另外一位是方丈，他们非常的慈悲仁慈，助人染指，帮助人家有人要染指，他们会帮助他们去染指。然后发道心，发菩提心，夙愿课岁真快乐。这个是讲的虚云老上，他一直是希望说能够染指供佛，他这个愿望，过去的愿望终于成就了，所以真的很快乐。本怀以畅喜雍容，这个本怀和夙愿其实是一样的，就是他本来的想法已经都舒畅，就是已经完成了，所以非常高兴。
夙愿课岁真快乐，本怀以畅喜雍容。Bhikshu Shenqin and Bhikshu Zongliang were men of great compassion. They aided those who burned their fingers to set their resolve for the way. Enabled to fulfill his past vow, the master was truly joyous. His earnest wish thus completed, he grew peaceful and calm. Okay, that's the episode according to our picture biography, right? So we have this other resource, which is the Nianpu, the extended autobiography, which is right here. So now I took this one episode out of it so we could examine it in detail. Here we are. So here we go. Let's. I'll go from the English. I got the Chinese, but this was so interesting and so important to get it right that I took I isolated out this one episode. So here is the story. We looked last time at the Sharira, the Buddha's relics, and talked about them and mentioned how we have a Buddha's Sharira here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, right outside the door. It's where I'm sitting at the moment, there's a pagoda, a ta'a, a sharira stupa, not a pagoda. Buddha images are in pagodas or temples. Buddha's sharira are in stupas. That's how it was set up from the Buddha's time. So we also talked about how Master Empty Cloud was bowing to repay his mother's kindness.
现在大家看到这个是英文翻译，是虚云老上的脸谱，翻译成英文。等一下我可以给大家看那个中文的，比较容易了解。施法师在这边先谈到，上次谈的时候也谈到这个舍利塔，就是佛陀的舍利，本就是公在舍利塔。那佛像呢，可以在塔里头，可以在佛殿里头。在艰难法界呢，有个舍利塔。施法师在讲这个的时候，其实就在这个舍利塔附近。
Now, he bowed 3,000 times a day and matched his the amount of bows he did to the response of these sharira at King Ashoka Temple, appearing or not appearing. That's this magical place.
虚云老和尚他拜佛，一天拜了3000拜。然后他就根据他这个拜佛的过程，看这个舍利，什么变化。
Ayu Wangsi, where one of the Buddha's genuine sharira from King Ashoka is available to bow to, and the presence of this relic, dating back to the Buddha, creates miracles, and people have had responses. Miracle is
这个阿育王氏的舍利就是佛陀的真身呢，就是从前阿育王送给中国，在阿育王寺。那这个阿育王氏的舍利呢，就供大家可以去礼拜。在阿育王寺的这个佛陀舍利，还是很有感应。
The Western word, the Buddhist word is ganying, a response. Miraculous, cause and effect. Miracle, the word miracle seems to be without cause, just bestowed by some entity or some power or some being. The Buddhist the Buddhist word is a response, meaning you cultivate, you create the causes, and you get a response, cause and effect. So,
在英文里头，有人是用那个miracle 就是奇迹的意思。但是在佛教里头，我们不谈奇迹，谈的是感应。因为感应是你诚心去发心，然后就有感应。不是奇迹，好像是这种从天降下来的，你不需要做什么事情，那就天降下来这个奇迹。
So it's a very responsive monastery. Okay, now here's where we pick up today. He says, people come to witness the sharira, each have their own different interpretation based on the bows that they make to it. Master Empty Cloud says, I observed it many times. It was the size of a mung bean, small and green, and then dark purple black. That's the color that I saw personally when I bowed to the sharira. By mid-October, after completing 200,000 prostrations, okay, so he's bowing 3,000 bows a day. How long does it take, right? He's been bowing for a while.
I want to make a note here, because this is completing 200,000 prostrations. The text actually doesn't say that. It says after finish 2 canons. You see that early on, that does say 2 canons. It doesn't say how many prostrations. So I don't know how this translation came out. Just want to bring this to people's attention. And what I'm going to Shu is the Chinese 的年谱 and I'll explain that to the Chinese reader, that way it's easier. This is an English translation of the 年谱。现在我们就看看这个年谱，有这个是年谱，不晓得这个字大家很小，不晓得大家看得清楚不清楚？你去把这个放大一点。This try to enlarge this. So I think this is a bit better. 所以他这个原来这边就是他虚云老和尚开悟的寄送，然后他这边就开始了，就是他因为他生下来从来没有见过母亲，所以他每一想到这个他就觉得很心痛，所以他的夙愿是要往阿育王室里设立燃脂功夫。就是前面讲的，他的夙愿一向的愿望就是到阿育王室去顶礼设立，还有燃脂功夫，目的是要超度他的母亲。所以就是这样子，所以他会到宁波，阿育王室在宁波。他拜舍利呢，每天这个是上次讲过，每天他一早起来到晚上，大家要休息的，他就在大殿里头拜，展大具，每日是拜了3000拜。那有一次呢，他在禅坐中看到有龙，这个我们上次讲过，这个龙有数丈长，他骑着这个龙呢，飞上天空去，到一个很清幽的地方，他见到他母亲在那个楼阁上眺望，他请他母亲骑到龙上来，到西方去，这个梦就这样进行了。所以接下来就是今天讲的部分，所以从此没有人读舍利街参加。这个和尚人的那个画传讲的是一样的，那上面就是把这个等于是copy 过去，有关多次初见大如律的这个刚刚都谈过了。到10月半的时候2丈拜完，再看大如前你变成世主有光。这边也讲的是拜2丈，刚刚英文呢翻译出来有多少拜？几千，不晓得是200,000 bows。他不晓得我猜那个翻译怎么来的。So again, this Chinese has two canons. Okay, there are 3 Tripika. After you bow in 2 canons. This is exactly like what in the Pictorial Biography. 他就再拜急于求验呢，全身酸痛，看着舍利大的像黄豆一样，黄白各半，所以他这时候要相信这个舍利是因为跟进而实现，因为急着要看到有这个感应有验证，所以增加礼拜。到了11月初的时候，大病顿发，就是发了一场大病，根本没有办法拜，病境沉重，尽如意料。他这个发生重病，非常重，结果被送交了如意疗。如意疗其实这等于就是说我们的类似像安宁病房一样的，已经都是要垂死的人的出家人送到如意疗去，服药罔效，他吃什么药都没有用，卧不能坐，他只能够躺着，不能坐着。OK， 然后这时候就是因为有首座，就是显亲，刚刚在寄送里头显亲，这个是首座，然后中量兼愿，这个兼愿意思其实就是类似像方丈一样，所以前面有讲到显亲和中量在这边。另外有一位女众 多方的施救，费财费力终不见效。他们花了很多钱，费了很多精力来治疗他的病，但是没有用。一般人都以为这个虚云老和尚的世缘尽力，就是他的这辈子大概就这么结束。那我呢，这个指的虚云老和尚他自己，他也听之自然的。但是就是以燃指不成心生焦虑，他这个知道自己这命当然要尽了，但是他唯一的遗憾就是说，他本来是希望要燃指供佛来报母恩，但是他这个燃指不成，所以他心里也很担忧这个问题。OK， 我们就继续。
He went back and looked again, and the Sharira turned into a red pearl with a radiant glow. It changed color, it changed size, it started to release light. So at this point, he said, I'm going to bow some more. I'm getting a response, I'm going to bow some more. My entire body ached, he said, but I saw the relic grow larger than a soybean and now was half yellow, half white. So you think, hey, Shifu, do you need to bow that much? He's bowing until he's actually bowing himself into discomfort, but he's getting a response. So this confirmed my belief. The appearance of the relic changes in response to the causes you create, your karmic conditions. So my eagerness for verification that his mother has really been crossed over led me to increase my bowing. He's bowing even more. But look what happens. By early November, I fell seriously ill and was completely unable to continue. Okay. So now, is he bowing himself sick, or from an understanding of Buddhist cause and effect and all, it's sometimes the more you cultivate, the, quote, worse things, the worse it gets, right? Things don't work out. That's not the way to think about it from a Buddhist point of view, which is bowing to the Buddha, in this case bowing to Sharira at a Buddhist monastery, plants some wonderful causes. And if we come into our bodies with karmic obstacles and karmic blessings as well, of course we all do, there's always a kind of a ledger of wholesome merit and karmic obstacles, karmic negativity that we bring.
师父是在这边讲到他为什么虚云老和尚来到11月的时候会产生一个重病，这个原因是什么？是不是因为他拜得太精进，把自己身体给累坏了，还是怎么样？另外一个原因是因为他很精进的修行，所以他有积了很多的功德。那是不是因为这个功德的关系呢，让他这个原来的业障显出来？所以我们一般都会带着业来这世上啊。那这个业本来是在80天里头没有显出来，但是当你功德够多的时候，这个业捧会显出来。这个也许是这样子。接下来他会讲，就是这样子。
When you cultivate, we quicken, we increase the speed with which those negative consequences work themselves out. So, to fall seriously ill, that's one way to say it is nejang, right? This is a karmic obstacle, is now manifested from his past that he had in his eighth consciousness that has now been triggered by all this incredible bowing that he's doing. In this case, the illness is stopping his bowing. He can't continue. The illness becomes severe, and despite taking medicine, I couldn't stand or sit. 就说他那么用功就会引起他的业障就会现前 It's not to say that there's punishment or bad things are happening. It's that he is emptying out his karmic debts.
要强调就是说，这不是因为他修行精进而产生的这个问题，就是因为他因为修行的很精进，所以他这个过去的恶业呢现出来以后，会把这个恶业给除掉，是这样子的，不是说这个恶业造成的这个结果，所以他没有办法办，而是因为他能够很精进的心，所以他会提早把他这个恶业给消除。
That karma is there regardless, and it would come later if he didn't cultivate hard. He's cultivating hard, so it's happening now, when he can kind of pay the debt back. If you understand how, so often people will say, "Oh my goodness."
这个恶业是一直存在着，早晚是会现出的。因为他很精进的修行，所以这个恶业就等于是提早现出来，然后他能够把这个恶业，能够把它去除掉。
Before I left home, things were really good. Once I left home, oh, I broke my leg. Oh, I got pneumonia. Oh, I found that I had debts those didn't come out of empty space. They were there all along, but now you have, quote, money in the bank, you can pay them back.
有的人就说，因为我没有出家之前都没有问题，出家以后怎么把腿摔断呢？我得到了肺炎呢？怎么回事情？因为我们这个出家带来的这些问题，其实这个恶业本来就在那儿，因为你现在有了本钱呢，你银行里头有了够了存款以后，他这个恶业就能够把这些恶业给消除。
Instead of the karmic debts picking the time when they arise, now you've taken the opportunity of leaving home, which creates tremendous merit, so you can pay them back and they're really gone. This illness.
你出家本身是很大的功德，所以你现在有功德能够把这个恶业等于你过去的债给偿清了，所以这个恶业就现出来，能够把这个债给还偿。
Was with him as a debt, but it's now coming for payment because with all the bowing, he can pay it back. That's the principle. So, unfortunately,
所以主要的原理就是因为他现在有了很多功德，所以他可以把过去的债给还清，所以这些恶业才会现出来，而不是因为说他修行的结果就是反而产生恶业现行，就是现行以后，他可以在这时候就把这个那个债给还清。
It's obstructing his wish to repay his mother's kindness through getting a response from the Sharira. He can't sit or stand. All right? Now, at King Ashoka Temple, his Nianpu, his autobiography continues, Venerable Shenqin, the head monk, and other disciples, and he mentions a Miss Lu, we don't know who that is, made every attempt to help me, but nothing worked. I was just flat on my back. Everybody thought I was going to die. And I said, okay, if I'm going to die, let it be. Now's the time. I'd rather die here at King Ashoka Temple trying to repay my mother than randomly out on the mountainside bowing to the Buddha. 3 steps from bow. So, except for the regret of not being able to fulfill the vow of burning his finger. Okay, now we're learning for the first time that there was a pact. Master Empty Cloud and 8 other monks at some point decided that they would meet at King Ashoka Temple on the 16th day and they would all do this together. It was a plan. This is something that some cultivators can do under certain circumstances. So, 16th day arrived, 8 people came to see me, all ready for the finger burning ceremony, assuming, oh, you know what? It could be that they are not going to burn their finger. They're all supporting him on his vow. It's not clear whether 8 people are going to burn their fingers or they're all supporting this one monk, Empty Cloud, to burn his finger.
I want to make a note here, because according to the Chinese, they did come to burn their fingers. Okay, the Reverend Master said he is not sure whether they are coming to burn their finger or they just come to help the Venerable Hsu Yun to burn his finger. 这边我们刚刚在中文的研谱已经看到，有8个人相约要来燃纸。释法师刚刚解释的时候就说，他不确定这8个人是要来燃纸呢，还是他们来帮助，来替虚云老和尚助阵这样子。但是中文其实是讲得很清楚，他们8个人是相约要来燃纸，他们也来了邀请，邀虚云老和尚一起，他们不晓得虚云老和尚病得很重。
Not clear. I think as I read this again, it may be that they're all there to support him, because this is a big deal. They all assumed that he was not seriously ill. Upon hearing that they had come, I realized, oh, today's the day that we made the plan, and I'm going to do it. The head monk of the monastery said,
当这些8个人来以后，来看他才记得是确实第2天他们约好要去燃纸的。他虚云老和尚坚持要参加，虽然他病不那么重，但是他也坚持要燃纸。
No, you're not. Because why? What if King Ashoka Temple, as Master Empty Cloud is attempting to burn his finger, he dies? It could be the end. People would say, "Oh, Bu Ling, don't go there. It's you can die. Burning your finger." He didn't want that. He didn't want that to happen on his watch. So,
虚云老和尚他坚持要燃纸，但是这个首座还有方丈都不允许，就是劝他不要，因为很怕会有生命的危险。如果说虚云老和尚在那边因为燃纸而往生的话，对这个阿育王室本身是一个很大的打击。人家会批评说，这个阿育王室这个舍利不灵啊，他才能拜舍利反而往生了，所以他们会希望他不要这样子做，不要参加燃纸。
So he said, "Please, Master Empty Cloud, do not." I said, Master Empty Cloud, while crying, birth and death is going to happen. Impermanence arrives. I want to repay my mother's kindness with this vow. What's the point of living if sickness, this simple illness, gets in the way? I would rather die than not fulfill my vow. Oh man, you don't want to be the abbot.
We show the Chinese now so that the Chinese reader will understand it better. 我们来看看这个中文的。中文这边就讲了，这18日有8人入寮誓约，到这个如意寮来看虚云老和尚，皆为燃纸来者，他们都是为了要燃纸来的人。他们以为我的病尚不重，而求伴也，希望我能够陪他们一起燃纸。我听说了，虚云老和尚听到了这个消息，知道隔一天，明天是燃纸期。所以坚请参加，他坚持请求要参加燃纸。 首座等皆不赞许，首座和尚呢，还有其他人都不赞成，恐怕会发生生命的危险。虚老僧他不觉呢，泪如泉涌，他就流泪了，而且流得像泉水一样，是痛哭啊。怎么说？他说：“生死谁能免者？谁能够避免生死？没有人能够避免生死。我要报我的母亲的恩，所以发愿燃指。如果因为病终止呢？如果因为病的关系我没办法燃指的话，那生亦何益？活着又有什么好处？愿以死为休矣。那我愿意，等于是到死为止，就是说宁可死呢，也要去燃指。等于是像鞠躬尽瘁一样的意思，就是我宁可我不愿意活着一条命，但是没有燃指，我宁可为了燃指而死。接下来我再看一看，中量监院那时候才21岁，监院就相当于方丈，中量这个方丈那时候只有21岁，很年轻啊。听了虚老和尚这段话，他也流泪，他也感动流泪。他对虚老和尚说：“你不用烦恼，我来帮助你成就你这个愿。明天的斋呢，归我请。这个打斋呢，他替虚老和尚打斋，我先为你布置，我替你把事情都安排好。我就合掌谢辞，虚老和尚合掌和这个监院很感谢。
When Master Empty Cloud is begging you, so Master Shenqin, how do you decide? What if he really does die while burning his finger? Oh my goodness. Now, the head monk, notice this, was 21 years old. A 21-year-old. Now, is it the abbot or is it the Bansho? Doesn't say. He is moved by Master Empty Cloud's earnest request, and he cries and says, "Okay, you've convinced me. I will help you do it. We'll make it happen. Tomorrow's, I will support you making an offering and make all the preparations, but with the vegetarian meal and all the stuff you need to burn a finger off. I gratefully join my palms in thanks." Okay, so Zhongliang and Zhongxin on the morning of the 17th said that they would help out. With their support, I came to the main hall to bow to the Buddha. After performing the required rituals, reciting the repentance verses, there's an ancient liturgy for doing this. I focused solely on reciting the Buddha's name to liberate my mother from her karma, and particularly from me, so that in the future I wouldn't be her son and cause her death. That's the unspoken part. Liberate my mother from whom? From our karmic connection, so that I am not the cause of her death. At first I felt intense pain, but my mind became clear and stable as I recited the phrase Namo Fa Jie Zhang Shen Ami Tuofo, the Dharma body of the universe. All 84,000 skin pores in the body stood on end. The pain of the fire. The finger burning ceremony.
Because 这个方丈们同意啊，所以隔一天17日一大早，中亮这个就是监院方丈，请他的师弟中信帮忙虚老和尚他们燃指，数人轮流扶上大殿礼佛，因为虚老和尚病的没有办法坐，只好躺着，那有好几个人轮流扶他上大殿礼佛。经种种仪节礼诵，还有大众念忏悔文，虚老和尚一心念佛，要超度他的母亲。一开始的时候还觉得痛， 接下来呢，心就渐渐的清明定下来，终而自觉朗然，就是非常的心非常的平静，非常清楚。念到那个法界藏身阿弥陀佛的时候，他全身的84000毛孔都竖起来，所有的毛都站起来，直以然臂呢，于起立礼佛，不用人扶。很快的这个燃指就结束了。他居然能够起来拜佛，不用人扶。你记得他是人家抬上去搭殿礼佛的，现在燃完指以后，他不需要人家扶，他就可以自己起来拜佛。这时候不知自己有病，也不晓得自己有病，走过去酬谢大众，回到那个如意寮去啊，大家都叹这个他是稀有了，难得看到这个样。当天呢就迁住如意寮，就从那个等于是从安宁病房搬出来，然后自己把这念完，一日入盐水泡1天，亦未流血。所以第二天，这个指头呢就泡在盐水里头泡1天，就没有流血。没有好几天，这个复肉完复，那个烧的指头，那个肤肉完全都复原了，渐渐恢复礼拜。然后他这个一复原以后，他就开始在拜佛了，留在阿育王寺国内。
Was completed, and I stood up, unassisted, to bow to the Buddha. I forgot about my illness; it was gone. I then walked over to thank everyone, returned to my quarters, and everybody was like, "Good grief, what in the world? How did that happen? How did he miraculously go from the point of death to healed?" The same day, I moved out of the infirmary. By the following day, my burned finger immersed in saline water stopped bleeding, salt water. Within a few days, the skin and flesh fully recovered. What did he do? He went back to bowing again and stayed at King Ashoka Temple to the new year. This guy is just so strong, so, iron. He's made of titanium. Okay, there's the story. Now, the way we asked Master Hua about this, and the way it was done was there was a wooden box that supported your arm. If let's say you pick the Master Empty Cloud, it was the third finger of his left hand, I believe. Actually, come to think of it, let's see. Okay, so they prepared a wooden box with sand that was not flammable to support your hand, and under your hand, they tied a string around your finger so tight that it cut off the circulation to your finger, because there can be strange things happen to the blood under the intense pain of being burned. So they isolate the finger and wrap it around. First of all, tie off the finger so that no blood gets to it. So it's extremely tight, which hurts to begin with. And then they wrap it in cotton, which is flammable, and then they soak that in kerosene. So the idea is that you want it to burn fast and hot. So get.
师法是在讲这个上人解释给他们听这个 一般怎么样染指的方式是有一定的手续，他们会用一个木盒子、木箱子，那个箱子里头装的是沙，那个你的手臂就放在这个沙上头，然后固定在那儿。那另外那个你要染的那个指头呢，像虚云老和尚他其实是左手的，那是无名指，第4个指头。他们会把这个指头用那个东西把它绑得很紧，就是停止这个血液流到这个指头去。那这个用途当然就是这样子，才不会再流的更多血。他们染指的时候，这个血液都停了，不会就继续冲出来。这是一个。另外，其实这个你如果绑得够久了以后，你那个手指头那边的细胞也就死掉了，你的神经呢，也就会死掉。那这样子的话，就会减少到那个痛觉。当然，这个要绑得够久以后，这个细胞才会死亡，是这样。那接下来呢，就是把这个手指头用个棉花，类似棉花的，把它缠起来，然后这个棉花或者纱布呢，上头浇了这个奶油，那目的就是说，烧的时候很快的就烧过去，很快的就把这个指头给烧掉，而不是说慢慢的按火上慢慢的烧，是要用快火，赶快把它烧完。
Just that so that it doesn't slowly kindle. You don't, stand there for 10 minutes. The idea is the fire should burn hot and be done in a matter of minutes. And you also want to isolate that finger from the rest of the fingers. That's the way it's done.
所以原则上就是希望能够在1分钟里头就烧完，而不是慢火的烧。
And at the same time, there's a liturgy beforehand. So you've been chanting and repenting and making this offering all along. The other thing is,
在开始染指之前，有很多的仪式，唱美文啊、诵经啊，这些很多人在旁边，在那边帮忙助念。
There are monks around you, or nuns, I suspect, chanting loudly, and the wooden fish is beating strongly. So there's a lot of supportive energy and sacred names as you, as your body burns. You're burning off a finger.
旁边有很多的出家众，男众、女众，有高声的念诵，佛名啊、圣号，还有木鱼，有的法器都敲得很响，主要就是在帮助你这个染指过程能够很顺利的进行。
So this is the procedure, and he has gone through it. And now the amazing thing, because it's the depends on, usually it's 2 joints, at least 2 joints of the finger, not just the tip of the finger. So, but people do it differently. Sometimes it's the whole finger. Now, you can do it. Sometimes people are just, you don't want to say crazy or careless, but there are people who just do it randomly without support. This is what I'm describing to you is the traditional way it's done when it's done rufa, according to the Dharma.
一般这个烧指头，有人只是烧个1节，就是指尖内；有的人是把整个2节 把这个指头给烧掉。虚云老和尚其实是烧了2节，把他的无名指跟左手的无名指给烧了。前面这边，释法师解释的这个是上面讲的这个怎么样如法去染指。有的人呢，就是比较随便，没有照这样子的做法，那当然这个结果怎么样呢是很难说。
Okay, the amazing thing about this story is that his illness was cured, which gives support to the notion that this is a karmic obstacle, that the illness itself is simply his karmic debts come to call, returning for him to pay back. And you heard my description of how when your karma is when it's paid back, the karma is over.
这个故事那个很要紧的就是他虚云老和尚染指以后，他这个大病就痊愈。所以释法师讲说，这一点就是证明说，他所以会生那场大病，那其实是他的业障来催债的意思。他因为他能够染指，这个有很大的功德，所以他把这个业给消了，那么病就好。
There you are. That's Master Empty Cloud's finger. So he burned off the entire finger. And the rest of his life, he's got 9 fingers. At one of the monks mentioned at King Ashoka Temple is called Ba Zhi Toto, the 8-fingered ascetic, someone who burned off 2 fingers.
这张照片可以看得很清楚，这虚云老和尚他是把左手的无名指整个燃掉。在阿育王寺有出家人叫8指头头，他是烧了两个指头，只剩下8个手指头的苦行僧。
Now, I want to show. Hold on. Let's get it. That's a little. It's pretty graphic, right? And there he is again. It's Master Empty Cloud. All right. Now, I don't know if people noticed, but here is our 18th episode. If you look at Master Empty Cloud's head, the artist's rendition, he's got, in this case, 6, but it's usually 9 dots on his head.
这个是从前的一段故事，这个画家画的，可以看到这个其实画的是虚云老和尚在挑水，又看到他的头上有这个香疤，这边是6个。一般是会8个，是9个香疤。
Those are incense burn scars from when he took the full precepts. One of the aspects of the Chinese Mahayana is that monks and nuns, when they ordain, can choose to receive burn scars. Here is the picture from today's episode, and notice all the monks' heads here have burn scars.
在汉传的佛教里头，一般的是这样，就是比丘、比丘尼在受了具足戒，就是比丘、比丘尼戒以后呢，他们都会烧香疤，在这个头顶上烧。
It's a custom that is officially frowned on in China. at City of 10,000 Buddhas, we don't talk about receiving incense burns. If people want to do it, they can decide to do so. We don't advocate it. The reason being that the
这个是汉传佛教的一个传统，就是受完戒以后烧香巴。但是在望佛城华总那个系统呢，我们并不鼓励受完戒以后烧香巴。当然，很多人他们自愿有烧香巴，那是另外一回事情，不会是公开的这样子烧。
modern world doesn't accept burning your flesh by choice. It's very tiresome to explain it over and over and over. Why do you do that? And it's also open to abuse. People can do it 不如法, not according to Dharma, and cause troubles for themselves without understanding the principle.
之所以我们现在不公开的鼓励大家烧香巴，是因为现在的社会环境，尤其在西方，他们对这个烧香巴或者烧指头是当做一件非常不好的事情，所以这个要解释给他们听的话，就是很麻烦的事情，所以我们就是不会公开的鼓励大家烧香巴。这个另外就是有人会等于是错用了这个燃烧香巴的事情，不如法的去烧，会造成不好的结果。
The custom of getting incense burns has a long and convoluted history that I wanted to spend the rest of this episode talking about it. And I've got to say, you know the phrase, kids don't try this at home. We don't want people to think, number one, that Buddhists are sadistic or masochistic, that we get pleasure out of burning our skin. That's not the point at all. And we want to explain the special circumstances that have to be in place before this can be interpreted as a positive thing to do.
这个传统的烧香巴燃纸，这个就是历史是相当于长的历史。接下来的时间，就是要释法师要解释讲的这个历史。这个就是为什么接下来要谈。
Okay, here's what I wanted to share with folks. Where did it come from? Here is the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra says, this is chapter 23 of the Fa Jing, 药王菩萨本师品第23. Number 23, chapter 23 of the Lotus Sutra says, 满1200岁已，享有出山，于日月净明得佛前，以天宝衣而自缠身，观诸香油，以身统利愿而自然身，光明遍照80亿恒河沙世界。
这个是在《华华经》的药王菩萨本事品第23品，讲的是满1200岁，这个是药王菩萨，他活了1200岁以后，用香油涂了他身体，在这种佛的日月净明得佛前，以天宝衣自缠身。这个天宝衣呢缠着他的身体，然后灌 这个宝衣呢灌了香油，他用神通力而愿自然生，那这个自己就烧起来了，而不需要点它。光明遍照80亿恒河沙世界，因为那个燃身的关系，现在很光明，遍照了80亿恒河沙那么多的世界。
以神通力愿而自然生，光明遍照80亿恒河沙世界。After 1200 years had passed, the Bodhisattva anointed his body with fragrant oils. In front of the Buddha, sun, moon, pure, bright virtue. He wrapped himself in celestial jeweled robes, poured various fragrant oils upon them, and through the power of his spiritual abilities and vows, spontaneously ignited his body. The resulting light radiated across 80 billion Ganges, rivers, sands, numbers of worlds. Okay, here is the Bodhisattva medicine superior, medicine king, Buddha, who, look at these circumstances. Fragrant oils in front of the Buddha, wearing celestially jewel robes with fragrant oils, and the power of his spiritual abilities and vows, he is able to spontaneously ignite his body from within, not from without. He didn't light a match, he didn't scratch a lighter, he didn't, ask somebody to use a torch. With his own, they call it sanmei chanho, the true fire of his samadhi, he was able to control the elements of his body to the point where he could light it on fire. And the light from that act radiated across the worlds. Okay? Now, let's go back to the sutra.
这边强调就是他这个药王菩萨，他是自然生的，这个自己用三昧真火把身体烧起来，而不需要外面人点火、点蜡烛、点火柴或者那个火炬，是完全是自己把自己的身体给烧起来。
Here we go, right here. 善男子，是名第一之师，宇宙师中最尊最上，以法供养诸如来故，作事于以二各默然，起身火然1200岁，过世以后，起身乃尽。Good man, the Buddha addressed him, good man, this is the foremost of all offerings. Among all acts of giving, this is the most honored and supreme. It's an offering of the Dharma to all Tathagatas. Having spoken these words, all remained silent. His body burned in flames for 1200 years, and after this period, his body was completely consumed. Okay.
这边是这一段经文，这个中间这一段，这个是上人的诠释。这边讲善男子，是名第一之师啊，这个应该是佛陀在赞叹这个药王菩萨自然身。他说这个是布施里头的最高的师，第一是于诸事中最尊最上，所以在所有布施里头、供养里头最尊最上。依法供养诸如来，因为这个药王菩萨是用法来供养的佛，做事于以而各默然，其身火然，1200岁过世以后，其身乃尽。是他这个火呢烧了1200岁，1200年，过了以后，过1200年以后，这个身体才烧完。
1200岁，过世以后，其身乃尽。 Good man, the Buddha addressed him, good man, this is the foremost of all offerings. Among all acts of giving, this is the most honored and supreme. It's an offering of the Dharma to all Tathagatas. Having spoken these words, all remained silent. His body burned in flames for 1,200 years, and after this period, his body was completely consumed. Okay, what's going on? This is the Buddha explaining in the Lotus Sutra how a bodhisattva made an offering of burning his body, and the Buddha praised it. He said, to be able to burn your body is just an amazing thing. His body burned not for a minute, not for an hour, not for a day, but for 1,200 years. And then it was consumed. This is a Lotus Sutra, and yes, the Buddha is praising it from this story. And we have Master Hua's commentary here. Shifu says, the Bodhisattva delighted in seeing the Buddha being burned his body with the fire of samadhi, and then it was consumed. Okay? And Master Hua, in his commentary to the Lotus, says, in more recent years, eminent monks have burned their fingers as an offering to the Buddha. Master Hsu Yun once burned his fingers as an offering, and the severe illness was miraculously cured without medicine. This is Master Hua's commentary to the Lotus Sutra. He mentions Master Empty Cloud's burning of his finger, which was today's episode. Okay, so here's the comment.
是上人解释这个《华经》的一段经文，就是英文翻译，就是讲到在近代呢，有很多出家人，他们也染他们的指头来供佛，譬如说虚云老和尚，就烧了他的指头来供佛。烧了燃指以后，他这个重病就像奇迹似的痊愈，而不需要服任何的药。
Bringing to light the episode that we just read. Okay, since the Lotus Sutra's mentioning of this bodhisattva's gift of his body, from that time people have been inspired to follow suit, to go ahead and offer their bodies in fire to the Buddha, or their finger, or to burn incense on their skin, the way monks do when they leave home. All right. Now, many young monks have a question, monks and nuns. Do I have to do it? No, you do not. And in fact, in China, it's officially frowned on. It's considered illegal to do so. And I will say, in my experience, many monks just go behind the Buddha hall and do it anyway. Don't tell anyone, you know.
那现在这个燃指和燃香疤呢，这个在加州司法的讲说，在中国大陆这个是违法的，但是还是有很多人他们就是私自的去燃香疤、燃指。
So, why? What is the point of, if you, I mean, we are not bodhisattvas in the Lotus Sutra. For a bodhisattva to do it, he does it with his own internal mastery of the elements. He can light a fire just by choice without a match, without a lighter. What's going on? So that's a state of samadhi. It's not ours at all, right? Until we can get there with our meditation.
因为药王菩萨的那段故事，所以后人有很多就是经过这个故事激励，所以也是要燃指、燃香疤。那这个到底是怎么一回事？那个药王菩萨他本身他是有他 它的三昧真火，所以能够把身体给烧起来。我们一般凡夫生的是没有那个能力。
So one day in Los Angeles, Master Hua was visiting, and we were there, our young American monks, and Shifu was describing this story from the Lotus Sutra, and one of our monks, I won't mention his name, but he's a large bhikshu who was very much into trying it out. He was into experience. He liked to try stuff out. He said, Shifu, can I burn my finger off to the Buddha as an offering? I'd like to do that. Listen how the Buddha praises it. And Shifu
讲到这里，是法师讲说，那个真正的故事，上人在洛杉矶的时候，就讲到这个药王菩萨燃身供佛的公案。在场呢有一位西方的比丘，上人的弟子，就和师父讲说，上人讲说，他称师父，上人的师父，我可不可以也这样子燃身供佛呢？
I'll never forget the look on his face. He said, "You Americans, you'll try anything." He says, "You got no idea what's involved." He said, Master Empty Cloud did it because he had made a vow. He was deeply motivated to repay his mother's kindness. He couldn't stand the fact that his birth was his mother's death. And he had been bowing to the Buddha 3,000 times a day and even more for months beforehand, 200,000 bows. He had already gotten enlightened. Do you think, is that you? Are you any match for him?
上人是讲的这个宣导上燃指供佛的故事，不是讲药王菩萨。而讲了这个以后，这个一位西方的比丘呢，就是问上人说，他可不可以也这样子宣导上燃指？觉得这是很酷的事情。上人师法师说他忘不了上人的表情。上人，你们这些西方人呢，不晓得到底是怎么回事情。你以为这么简单的事情，讲到宣导上，他是已经开悟的人了，然后他一天拜了3000拜佛，不晓得拜了多久，然后他才要燃指。而且他是因为要报他母亲的恩德，所以他是这么诚心的要报恩才燃指。那你又是怎么样？你有能够比得上宣导上这个境界吗？
Look at the preparation he had. Even so, as he described it, he said, when the fire was burning his finger, the pain was such that 84,000 skin pores, every pore of his skin, just stood on end. It was that painful.
宣导上你事先做了很多准备，开悟了，拜佛一天拜3000拜等等。那即使这样子，这个他讲的就是说，他在燃指的时候，他的身上的84000毛孔都竖立起来，可见有多痛。
He said, as soon as you feel that fire burning your finger, if you have a single thought of regret and say, oh my God, this is awful, quick, put it out, he said, you lose all the merit. There's no merit. And in fact, you can wind up slandering the Dharma, and that's a big, then where are you? What have you?
当你燃指的时候，一开始烧起来的时候，你会痛的，受不了，然后你要赶快叫人家把那个火给扑灭，甚至你还会谤佛谤法。
Be done. He said, don't be so presumptuous. Keep your feet on the ground. He said, have you really given up chocolate? Have you really given up ice cream? Have you really given up thoughts of women? He said, if so, you might consider, training for this, get 200,000 bows. He said, if you're, recognize your own strength. Don't have.
上人继续讲的，你不要自以为有那个能力，你能够放得下巧克力，能不能放下冰淇淋，能不能放下女人？你如果还不行的话，你怎么有那个能力来燃起？自己要知道自己的要自能量力，不要不量力而为。
Have so many false thoughts. The fact that this great sage has done it, the fact that the Bodhisattva has done it, does not mean you can do it.
要以为这些大菩萨、大修行人能够做的事情，你就能够做得到。
And the monk said, well, okay, Shifu, all right. Well, it's really cool, Shifu. Yes, it's really cool. It's really hot. Don't recognize where you are compared to where these sages are, he said. Okay, now, back to the question, young monks or nuns who just ordained, are they going to get incense burns on the top of their head? Why was this done? The custom came about after Buddhism had been in China for several thousand years. Periodically, emperors would resent all of the strength of the soldiers being in robes. They would resent all of the gold being in images. They would resent all of the best landscape being held in monasteries, and they would purge the Buddhist church in China. They would burn the monasteries, reclaim the land. They would melt the images, reclaim the gold. They would force all the monks back into lay life, particularly into the army.
接下来就讲到为什么在中国会有这个传统，是出家人会烧香巴。这个是因为这个佛教传到中国有几千年的时间了。那在这段时间里头，有的皇帝是对佛教非常不友善，他甚至要灭佛的。我们看到了这个寺庙占用了很多的地方，很风景优美的地方。这个佛像呢，用了很多的金子，因为很多的年轻人都出家了，没有办法当兵，所以他们看到这种种的，就是希望能够要灭火，所以他们会把寺庙给收回来，把这些佛像给融化掉，然后拿着金子去，甚至还强迫这个出家人还俗，去当兵去，所以有这么一段的佛教在中国有这段这个黑暗的时期。
At a time like that, the monks wanted to be known that they had received the precepts. They wanted it to be known that they had taken all the steps to become members of the Sangha, and they would be forced to grow their hair back, so they would first burn incense scars on the top of their head, planning that when the coast was clear, when the emperor had, in their greed and the karma of destroying the Sangha, had caught up with them, they would return to the Sangha. Now, nobody's going to burn their skin on.
快9点，我想那个万华城那边的快结束，我很快的讲过去，那个我们线上的人可以继续听。那因为这个关系，那很多出家人他们会把在还俗之前，在头上烧的香巴，等于是做个记号。以后呢，如果这个事情平静以后，国家不再反对的时候，他们还可以再回到寺庙里头， 和回到出家人的身份。所以这是一个历史上的因缘，为什么会中国人的出家人会烧香吧？现在时间也到了，我们这个故事还没有讲完，我们下礼拜应该是还是会继续，因为实法师下礼拜大概也没有办法讲社会相品。我们现在就来做个回向，我承认他们自己也会做回向。在线上就用中文。愿以此功德，庄严佛净土，上报四重恩，下济三途苦。若有见闻者，悉发菩提心，尽此一报身，同生极乐国。They have us. All in respect to the Venerable Master. Amen.